Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Betsy. Today I'm going to show you how I draw this interesting little texture, and I think of it a lot as kind of these pock marks or like little craters. And the good thing about this texture is that it's actually fairly simple to do, and you can make it as large or as small as you like. I usually tend to draw this a lot smaller than this because I like to put it kind of in the backgrounds of my drawings. So I'm going to draw it just a little bit larger for you today so that you can really see what goes into this. So let me first bring my camera in just a little closer so you can see those details. And today I'm going to be using two different pens, and these are some of my favorite pens. So for these larger lines, I'm going to be using this Tombow pen. It is a brush pen. Some of you may already have one of these. It's a Fudenosuke. So I'm going to be using this for the larger lines, and then for some of those smaller lines, just because I know I like to get in there and draw finer lines, I'm going to be using a 0.1 pen. If you have microns or something else like that, you probably already have a pen that's smaller like this. And this is the Pentel Pointliner 0.1, so it's kind of a technical pen. It's very similar to a micron. So let me show you how I draw these. The shape itself is actually very simple. So you'll see that what I have here are all these little C shapes and V shapes. So like these right here, so these that are shaped like C's, they're very much like little craters. And so I'll show you pretty much, it's just a shape. It's almost like an incomplete circle. And you can always open it up so the lines stick straight out. And as always, I would recommend that if you draw a pattern like this, or really any other pattern, play around with changing the sizes. So make bigger ones, make little ones, because it's in that variation that you're going to find more of the pleasing aspects of drawing a pattern like this. So right here, all I'm drawing are these C shapes. And then you'll notice that I also have these longer ones here. So these aren't little craters anymore. They're like these longer, imagine if you're looking at the surface of the moon, and if an object makes impact at an angle, imagine it coming in and then it hits, and it's going to make these kind of long extended kind of craters. So this is done exactly the same way as the little ones. They're just much longer. So I'll show you, they're actually a little more like a V. Let me put one right here. So it starts off like a C as well, but I'm going to extend those lines out like a really big V like that. And so when I fill these in, this is actually where the magic happens. This is where you want to try to practice having control over the width of your lines. So let me use this one that's down here. So right here I'm going to use my pen to create a thicker line at the beginning and then let it taper off. So this is where I'm practicing that pressure on the tip that allows it to start off thicker and then get thinner. So thick, thin, thick, thin. So I'm just kind of flicking the pen. So you'll notice I'm going to do these really quick flicking motions. So what I'm allowing that to do is to create this darker shadow deep inside of this little crater or pockmark that I'm making. And that way, once I allow the line to head out and get kind of faded, it's also giving the implication of the shadow also fading. So like that. Let's do a few more. And so you see what this looks like right now. So for a second here, I'm going to switch over to my smaller pen. And you don't have to use a smaller pen. It really just helps when you're getting into some of those tiny little spaces. So let's try right here. How about this small one here? So I'm going to do the same thing where I'm using my small pen to kind of adjust the pressure on my lines so that they feather out as they head outwards. So this is a nice little practice in your control over the pen. So I'm going to do a few here. So again, there's more pressure at the beginning, and then I let the pressure off. So in any of your other drawings, if you're noticing that that your lines just don't look natural enough, that your shading doesn't look natural enough. It may be that you're not allowing yourself to make these kind of tapered lines like this. So you can see I'm pretty much just continuing on with that same pattern. I'm just adding this little shading inside. And I'm going to show you something else that helps add to the interest here. So you notice I already have a few that I did previously. So what I'm going to do is with this smaller pen. So let's say this one right here. It's already done, and I might feel like I'm already done and I can move on, but I can still come in here with this thinner pen and add to the shading here and let these lines carry through into the shadow of the next one. Just really gently. I'm not going to draw like big heavy lines. So I'm basically just adding shading here using a really small pen, and I'm being really gentle. I'm not applying much pressure. So you see there now the shading kind of carries through and then it touches these other shapes that are right here. But because they're really sheer black, it doesn't matter that this shadow kind of comes up right against them. So I would ask you to practice that. So let me do it right here again. I'm just going to carry those shadows through. So there's a lot of white here. And I'm just going to pull lots of delicate little lines. So again, this is going to be really good shading practice for you. And over here too, just a few lines just to add some shading. And so you can keep practicing that. Add lots of little delicate lines that kind of carry over. This is just going to give it much more interest. And you don't have to do this much. Try practicing. Just keep it simple. Just draw lots of little C shapes. So however far you want to go is going to be up to you. Are you ready to make this kind of pattern? If not, it's okay. Just keep it simple. And so I'm just going to keep working on these. Let me show you again the shading with a bigger pen, so a Fude pen. It's got a brush tip. So let's try this big one up here. So notice again, I'm changing the pressure in order to change that. And you really can do this with most pens. You can practice making those lines kind of fade out as you head outward. So you notice it's nice and dark on the inside of that little crater, and then heading outward, that shadow just kind of fades. And so what I like to do is just switch between these two different pens. So I'll switch right now to the smaller one. And now this smaller one is going to give me just a little more control over how those lines fade. So just lots of little delicate ones right here. I'll add some here. And so I'll just learn to kind of come over this over and over and just keep adding to those shadows and just let them fade. So right here probably. It's okay if these lines continue into some of those next little craters that are there. So that's it. That is how you make craters and pockmarks. This is a really good texture for some of those backgrounds, or really if you want to draw something interesting that has a lot more going on, this is a really good one. Go ahead and practice this one. Let me know how you feel about it. Do you like the way the texture comes out? Do you like how it looks in some of your drawings? So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.